passes for all. We have a roll call on
Mr. King?
Here.
Ron Vaughn?
Here.
Frank Hall?
Here.
Julie Bowman? George Weiner? Evan Front?
Here.
Craig Myers?
Here.
Alderman Shauna Zerwig?
She's not here. I'm setting in for her tonight. She has to work.
Chairman, we have a quorum.
We have a quorum. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda for this meeting.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion? Now, I'll call a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The agenda is approved. Now we'll get down to the important things. The next item on the agenda is the election of officers. And this is based on the requirements of ordinance number 3552 of St. Genevieve, section 410070, chapter 410. In that section, it states the officers will be a chairman and a vice chairman, and they will serve a term of 1 year. They can serve a second term, but only 2 consecutive terms.
Sorry.
And now is the time that this election is due, so we will go to the election. Now, as I stated when you so graciously elected me to serve as the chairman until my term of the commission expired, that's now happening. My term of the commission is expired, and new officers are required. Before I get into the mechanics of the election, thanks to the mayor and the board of aldermen and the city administrator for their very wise policy guidance and for tolerating my activities as chairman. And a special thanks to the commission members and to Brenda for their support during my brief term of office. I'm very proud of the work they have started in the committees to improve the functioning of the commission and to repair the relationship between the commission and the citizens of St. Genevieve. Now on with the election of the commission. Our ordinance states there will be an election that the officers serve for 1 year, but it does not spell out in the either in the ordinance or in the guidelines or our bylaws any procedures that should be followed. So with your concurrence, I'd like to run through what I intend to do as procedures, and at the end of my explanation of it, I'll ask for consent, which would require a majority consent. But as I say, the procedures are not defined, but what I'm suggesting is in accordance with Robert's Rules of Order as I know them. So I will outline the procedures, and we'll take a vote at the end of that outline. The nominations will be from the floor. We do not specify a nominating committee, and it's a very small organization, so nominations from the floor make a lot of sense. When it comes to the election, the bylaws again do not state how the vote is to be taken. Robert's rules permit a voice vote, and that's what I propose that we do. If it's a single nominee for office, it'll be strictly by voice vote. If there are multiple nominees, it will be by a ballot. Those are the procedures that I intend to follow in this election. Are there any comments to the contrary? If not, I would ask for a vote of consent. Those approving indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we'll get on with it then, and the floor is open to nominations for the office of chairman.
I'd like to nominate Frank Rolfe.
Frank Rolfe has been nominated for the office of chairman. Are there
I'd
any
like to
further
nominate
nominations?
George Weiner.
I'll decline that.
George Weiner has been nominated for the office of chairman. Are there any further nominations?
Under state enable.
I'd like to nominate Ed Luttrell.
When in doubt,
Ed has been nominated for the office of chairman. Are there any further nominations? If not, I would say that the nominations are closed. Please pass out a ballot, one to each person. The vote is one vote per member. Does everyone have a ballot? I will ask the chair to count the ballots and announce them in the order that they were nominated. Announce the number of votes per candidate. Would you like to go check? Yes. Okay. The vote is 6 for Frank Rolfe, one for Ed Luttrell. Based on those results, Frank Rolfe is our new chairman. And again, according to the rules of the ordinance or lack of rules, there's no
In the record.
procedure for taking charge. So it
And budget
becomes automatic that you take charge immediately, you know. Gladly surrender the chair and wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
It's the same one we got.
I'm the other Frank with gray hair, so it makes an easy transition.
Here.
Well, that's true. Okay, next item of business is election of the vice chairman. Are there any nominations for vice chairman? I myself, I will nominate Ed Luttrell for vice chairman.
I'll nominate George. Come on, George, you've been here a while. You've been here a while.
Well, thanks.
You don't want to.
Are there any other nominations out there?
What was the first nomination?
Ed Luttrell.
Of Ed Luttrell. I'll nominate Mickey Ketting.
Are there any other nominations? And we'll pass out the green sheets and we'll do it again here. Round them up. Double check on Tammy. Okay. All right, so the results are in. We've got 5 votes for Mickey Ketty, 2 votes for Ed Luttrell. So Mickey will be vice chairman.
Thank you.
All right, now let's just go straight into the agenda. First item is the approval of minutes from the July 16th, 2012 meeting.
So moved.
All right, motion, is there a second? Okay, so may we have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, then the minutes are approved. Next item is old business. Is there any old business? All right, looks like not. We'll move on to item 8, new business. The first item, I'm sorry. Okay, first item is a certificate of appropriateness application to replace aluminum windows with vinyl windows and the front wooden entry door with the steel door in the house at 1051 Market Street, which appears to be looks like a non-historic structure, shall we say?
Non-contributing.
Non-contributing. Is there anyone to speak on behalf of the applicant?
Mr. Piper is here.
Would you have anything you'd like to?
I have nothing to say, I haven't heard that.
Okay, no problem. All right. Is there any discussion?
I think we've got a newer construction and we're replacing new materials with new materials. I don't see any reason to,
The, I agree with you. It's in the historic district. It is not
Non-contributing.
it's a non-contributing building there, so long as it does not affect the streetscape, we should approve it. And the vinyl windows of the same configuration without
Right.
changing any of the framework should be approved. The door, I'd like to see what that door is going to look like, because that can be, I'm sure it is not, but it's possible that a door can be quite
Different. And we
different, yeah.
have no information on the, a picture of the door or,
I spoke to Mr. Butler about that this afternoon. It is similar to what he has, but it has a small window. He has brought the door in his truck if anyone would like to go outside.
You don't have to go get it.
No, I did tell you that this afternoon. I said I couldn't get it up by myself. My son stopped by and I said, please help me get this out of my truck, so.
That was
the
not
door
there.
is sitting at home in my garage.
Yeah.
But it's a 6-panel door with a small X glass in it.
Rectangular glass? or-
Yes.
Yeah, sounds good. Beautiful home. Good pick.
Thank you.
Well kept.
Is there any more discussion of it? Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
We have a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Item 9, committee reports. Yes, and you are free to go. So,
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, committee reports. First one's on the Boundary Contributing Structure Guidelines Committee. Is there anything new to report on that? Okay. Next one is on the Public Outreach Publicity Signage Committee. I have one announcement on that. We have the simplest committee, obviously. It's easy and manageable. We can easily do it. One idea I had is, if we're going to do it right, for the thank you cards and the signage and whatever items we can get in the media, I don't think we have any kind of logo. Do we have a logo?
no.
So-
I worked on that on the computer today, but I'm not a whiz at this, so.
Okay, I'm just going to throw out an idea that we open it up as a kind of a logo contest between the public school, Valley, anybody else who wants to participate. And I talked to my wife, and we will throw out a $50 award to whoever wins the logo contest, and we'll just judge it as a group. So we'll be our own
Okay.
panel of judges.
Good. Excellent.
And I'll talk to the
Yeah.
Valley and St. Jen to let them know that, and maybe we can get something in the paper on that.
So it's gonna be limited to the kids in school?
Well, no, I think it should be open to anybody.
Drop it
But
in.
we'll promote it also
Yeah.
through the school. I'm not sure how many graphic artists we have in town that will want to put an entry. I know the school will probably provide quite a few.
Mhm.
Just kind of
And any member of the school, regardless of whether they're a resident of the city or not.
Anybody.
I think
Yeah.
anybody. We're just
Yeah,
looking for the
I
best
think
idea,
anybody.
just the best
Yeah.
design.
Drop them off at City Hall
Yeah.
by a certain
We
day.
can spread a little
or-
awareness
Yeah.
about landmarks at the same time.
Excellent.
Yeah. Good
So,
idea.
you wanna set a date for submission?
I think it's fine. I think it'll probably be a couple-week delay, probably getting it enacted with the schools, I would imagine, maybe getting the paper. So maybe we should set it as
Why don't we?
October 1.
Yeah, I was
How
gonna
does that
say,
sound, everybody?
that it would take that long, I would think, for
Yeah.
the
It
school
gives
to
everyone
get
30
around to
days
doing
to
it.
come up.
Yeah.
Is everyone okay with
Okay.
that idea?
Mhm.
Okay.
And,
The other thing I wanted to bring up,
submissions should be made to City Hall,
Yes.
We got
and
some-
he's gonna report it on.
Oh, very good, yes, yes.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
any entry brought to City Hall no later than 5 o'clock on October 1st would be under consideration. And then we'll just vote on it on the following.
Any
meeting.
guidelines we ought to put with it?
Just something that expresses everything about what we're trying to accomplish at Landmarks. There are really no limitations.
Yeah.
Obviously, something that looks good and
I think-
in the formats we need.
Right,
So-
contact
For-
Brenda for information on
Yeah.
it.
So you'll put all
Attractive
that
in
on the
black and white
paper?
and color.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll look
Yeah.
PDF or what?
We need letterhead and maybe.
But we just need a
something-
really nice logo. I mean, you know, the
Logo,
chamber has a
yeah.
logo.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
many
Yeah,
people
but
have
should it be in
logos, we
PDF
don't have a
form or
logo.
drawn, or what do you
Oh,
want?
You know, the
see.
new signs have logos, we need a
Yeah.
Landmarks logo.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And
she
how-
asked about PDF or,
I am the art teacher at the high
Oh,
school.
well,
Yeah.
There she is.
makes it easy.
How will it be
Well,
judged?
so do you want it in
I mean,
PDF form or drawing?
I don't even know what that
Landmarks
means, so you'll have to help me do that.
Your committee is not going to make a recommendation?
No.
You're just going to open it? Okay.
Yeah, we'll just all vote
Yeah.
and pick out the best one.
Okay.
We just tape it to the walls or
Yeah.
something.
Pick out the best three and then vote on the best three as
Yeah,
a
we can
ballot,
do that.
just to get everybody
Yeah.
involved,
Yeah.
as many as we can.
Yeah.
Just to clarify what Jamie was asking, I think that any medium is appropriate because someone may have good hand illustrating skills without computer skills.
Oh, yes,
So-
yes.
So if it's a watercolor, we can convert it.
Well, we can
Yeah.
take that watercolor though and put it in.
That's my point, yeah.
yeah.
Make it
Yeah.
usable.
Okay.
It's not-
See, you all are talking about stuff I have no idea, so.
Watercolor.
Yeah.
It's not the
A
quality of the
watercolor,
art.
that watercolor I got, putting it on the computer is where my downfall is. I wanted to say, when we were talking about sending out notes to people that have done good things, it's gonna take everyone, it's gonna take all the members of the commission to say, hey, maybe you don't drive down this street, but I do and I notice. And I don't even think it would be adverse to having someone from the community to point out something that their neighbor has done and that maybe is not being seen because it's not on the main drag through town, and, you know, just some way to let the commission know about people that are doing an excellent job at preserving their property.
And we can put the ballots out for this artwork at the desk where they pay their water bill. A lot of people come in and pay it. And maybe we could put a little ballot for your local neighbor, you know,
Yeah.
quality, because a lot of people got, like you said, got these little houses that just got them exquisite.
Yeah, and maybe if you don't happen to drive down in that direction on your normal course of things, you're not seeing everywhere. So we need to involve the commission and the public into that.
Would there be any way that something could go out, like with the electric bill or something like that? That's in an envelope?
And I can't say, well, obviously we have a representative of the paper here. Perhaps the
Yeah.
paper and the Sun Times or something could put something out there.
Yeah, some kind of notification of.
Maybe some of the local
How-
restaurants would come in and pick a few up and take them. You know, I know the Ciro's has a painting contest every once in a while. You see all the kids up there. It's a pretty good
Yeah.
deal. And some of the other restaurants have the places where you can put your cards in. So maybe we could just walk around and ask if they could take them and we'd set them out. I'd be willing to do that.
Oh, you mean for the logo and everything?
Yeah, for the logo and for your neighbor, you know, support your local neighbor,
Yeah.
you know.
I don't know that we would need more than just the commissioners choosing the logo.
No, I don't mean choosing, I just need to get the
Just to get
ballots
as
out.
many applications.
Yeah,
Okay.
get the
Okay,
applications out so
sure.
it doesn't get,
Yeah.
Sure,
one school doesn't say they didn't have the opportunity, you know.
right.
Good idea.
Any maintenance standards committee views? Okay, then we'll move on to item 10, other business.
I need to go back to the art thing.
Yes.
Like, do we want to limit it to a size?
Size?
Yeah, like 18 by 24 or 8 by 12 or,
Well, we'll get the idea and then we'll shrink it to our size. We'll still use our concept.
well, yeah, but 18 by 24 is pretty huge. You know, should we stick with like 12 by 18?
I'd say just whatever anyone wants to give us.
Yeah.
Let's do, well,
Well-
but most scanners are 12 by 18 is why I'm saying.
Oh, see, I don't know any of this art stuff, so.
Yeah,
Well, I'd say a
Over my
regular
head.
size piece of paper. We don't want to get, you know.
yeah.
And then we
Yeah,
can
let's
blow
do
it
that.
up. It's
8
easier
by
to go
12.
bigger than to
Yeah.
shrink down.
That's what I was going to ask. We're concerned about the design, not the actual execution.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the design
Yeah,
has,
so
to work on a
what-
sign, it's gonna have to be really simple.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if you can't get it off an 8.5 by 11, it's probably too
Too
complicated.
elaborate.
That's what we're going to do,
Yeah.
8.5 by 11.
8.5 by 11, yeah.
Sorry.
No problem. All right, so we're moving in on item 10, other business, and report on training.
Well, first of all, you might notice all the information on the table in front of you. This is some of the information that Mickey and I brought back from our training in Norfolk. And there's a lot of information there. The book that Frank is looking at, we have that. We gave out at the design guideline training that we had with Joanne Radjic a couple of weeks ago. And that's the newest book on sustainability that the National Park Service has just put out. But we do have a training video from Joanne that we're going to watch. That's why I have the chair set up back here. So you can either take a chair back here, or you can scoot over in a comfortable chair. And yes, and we'll have Don roll the tape.
Some of this information is extremely valuable, and it could be
Oh, yeah.
to the individual citizen. If, I know we don't have enough copies to
Mhm.
offer to the whole community, but
Right.
we should, maybe we have enough to set up a loan system, so if somebody is interested,
Yes.
they can borrow the thing, and
Mhm.
sign it out.
Mhm. Sure, absolutely.
Okay, anything more on training, or?
If anyone is interested, oh, yes. Take one of these out?
Yeah.
I almost forgot.
Candy? All right.
No,
Virus.
everyone who
I've got it.
attended
Good.
Norfolk received a flash drive with all the information from all of the classes.
Right.
So I copied that for everybody, so everyone will have their own.
At my age, it had to be a cigarette lighter.
Yeah.
That's one thought
Give
of
Shauna, or you want me to take it?
You know, you want to take it to it? We'll talk about it. So you can read this information. if you
And I
need
don't,
it.
I don't need one because I got
That's
one
right.
in Norfolk. So,
It's 4 gigs.
oh, wow.
Shit, I needed that anyway.
Yeah.
And then,
But that was
weekly
very, very nice for that, to have all that information that, you start taking notes and then they tell you, well, it's already, down, all their PowerPoint
They're gonna give it to
information,
you.
everything was on there, so.
And this is part of their going in, and they prefer to put everything on a disk and give it to everybody rather than make hard copies and everybody's going to throw away at the end of the day.
And this pertains to what?
The National Alliance of Preservation Commissions Forum that Mickey and I went to,
Uh-huh.
let's see, in Norfolk, if anyone wants to read about it, this is the booklet, this is,
And-
explains classes
yeah.
we went to.
We went to 3 or 4 or 5 things each. We went to separate speakers, but this way you get all of the speakers, and it helps, if you hear the event more than just looking at it, but at least you're getting the information that they
Right.
presented in their PowerPoints. The only one that did not, I'm trying to think, was the last event that I went to. Could I borrow that back? And she said she would send us the information. I think it was the Filling the Gaps with Houses That Fit was the program that she didn't have it. She had gotten her stuff in too late, but I've got her business card and we can send off for that. So.
But when you look through these, you'll notice that all the topics are very timely. Everybody's talking about the same thing that St. Genevieve is talking
yeah.
about, so it's helpful.
Okay, so let's move on to citizen input.
I have a question about
Oh,
training.
go ahead.
Yes.
Wasn't there something in October, the end of October, some type of training in the loop? Because I need to be
Yes.
able to ask off work if,
Okay, that is the annual Missouri Preservation State Preservation Conference. It's going to be in St. Louis this year. I believe I forwarded that information. I can forward it to you.
I've down the 24th and it's in the loop. I have
Mhm.
preservemo.org.
It's usually in the latter part of October.
How many, I know that we have to go to training.
Mhm.
Would like one day, it's 2 days, actually, I think it's 3 days. Would one day,
When it gets closer to that time, they'll publish an agenda, and that's how I decide which days to go to, is the topics that are going to be reviewed. And
Okay.
then you'll decide of whether or not you want to go the entire time, or
about how early do they get that out?
It should be coming out, I would say, probably at the beginning of September.
Okay, I just need to be able to let school know. Okay, thanks.
Okay, so moving on to public participation. Is there any citizen who would like to speak on any item? If not, so we move on to number 12, which is adjournment.
Nope, can't adjourn
Nope.
until we have the training video.
Oh, I'm sorry. All right. So
We're gonna move over to the
let's move over there and do that. All right.
I tried 2 computers and neither one of them worked, so we're putting it on TV.
Okay.
Okay.
And this is something that Joanne Raddick, the certified local government coordinator, which you met, provided to us. And it's called defensible decision making.
I can see. Turn off the lights. Probably. Don't say that.
Somebody say, Don, roll the tape?
Yeah.
Don, roll the tape, please.
Who we are as a nation is reflected in our cultural heritage. Some of the most visible and important elements of this heritage are our historic properties, preserved for the education and welfare of future generations. Local historic area designation is one of the strongest forms of protection for historic properties. Despite its strength, it can be a fragile power. The ability of a Historic Preservation Commission to create this positive environment depends on its capacity to maintain the support of the local government and the citizens it serves. Without this support, the historic area zoning ordinance that created the commission may be in jeopardy. More importantly, historic property designations and enforcement actions by the commission may be reversed with damaging consequences for historic preservation. Following all steps required to ensure due process. Due process is a right guaranteed to all citizens by the 5th and 14th Amendments of the United States and all state constitutions. Due process is a safeguard that ensures that government agencies at all levels act fairly in making decisions affecting the interests of individual citizens and protects individuals from arbitrary governmental action. All judicial and quasi-judicial agencies, including historic preservation commissions, must abide by due process requirements, both procedural and substantive. Procedural due process refers to the manner in which government actions are carried out, that is, the actual process of decision-making. It requires advance notice of the proceedings, final notice of the decision reached, as well as the opportunity for individuals directly affected by the proposed governmental action to be heard. Substantive due process addresses the rationality or reasonableness of the substance of the decision itself. It requires that the decision be based on the evidence in the record, as applied to the standards and criteria in the ordinance. It also protects individuals from bias, conflicts of interest, and other factors bearing on the impartiality of the decision makers. For any permit request, including those involving historic areas, procedural due process sets forth the minimum legal requirements that commissions must follow to reach a decision. Careful attention to procedure can help ensure that the substance of a decision is reasonable, therefore also meeting the requirements of substantive due process. But that is not all. Additional legal requirements may be imposed by statute. It is important to comply with the procedures established under state enabling legislation, preservation ordinances, administrative procedure acts, and other laws as well. When in doubt, commissions should consult with their attorney. Defensible decision-making is important to preservation commissions so that their decisions stand up in court. It requires the preparation of a solid record that reflects positively on the professionalism and integrity of the Commission. Each member of a Historic Preservation Commission shares the responsibility to assure that the Commission follows the law while carrying on the important task of protecting historic properties. The Commission must protect the constitutional rights of individuals. Decisions may be appealed to the courts based on the record. Grounds for invalidating or reversing a decision on due process most frequently stem from prejudicial procedural error or decisions not supported by the weight of evidence in the record. So how do we get to a decision that serves the best interests of the community while still protecting the rights of all the participants? As a Commission member, you have several basic responsibilities. First, know the relevant ordinances, especially historic designation and design review criteria. Decisions not based on these criteria can be invalidated or reversed. Know the Commission's design guidelines and the character-defining features of historic districts. Know the Commission's rules of procedure, including those that cover economic hardship and demolition by neglect. Know the Sunshine Act, the public meeting laws that apply in your state. These laws generally require that Commission meetings and deliberations be open to the public. Advance notice must also be provided. Commission members may be required to comply with open meeting laws outside their monthly hearings, for example, when making site visits. Site visits are encouraged. They provide a useful and appropriate opportunity to understand the issues at stake. However, they need to be conducted openly and preferably with notice to avoid being turned into a private briefing or ex parte contact. Many states also have conflict of interest statutes, which preclude Commission members from voting on matters in which they have a direct financial interest or other conflict. Be familiar with past cases in your jurisdiction. This will allow the Commission to be consistent when making decisions. No one said the responsibility of saving our national heritage would be easy. Since most proceedings before a commission affect individual property interests, there are several situations in which due process is required. These proceedings involve applications to alter or demolish property formally designated as a historic landmark or included in a designated historic district under a preservation ordinance. Commissions may also consider requests to designate property as historic and applications for a variance under the ordinance based on economic hardship. Before a decision in those proceedings can be made, due process requires that several procedural and substantive actions must be taken, such as providing advance notice of a hearing, holding the hearing, and making a decision based on the criteria in the ordinance from the evidence in the record. Depending upon the size of the community and budget of the Commission, some of the procedural requirements, such as providing notice, may be performed by a staff member. However, the ultimate responsibility falls on the Commission. One of the first procedural steps is to notify the applicant, other interested parties, and the public in general. The need for public notice stems from a constitutional requirement that individuals have a right to be heard before a government agency takes an action affecting a protected interest, in this case, a person or entity's property. Individual mailed notice is required for those persons or entities directly affected by a Commission's action, such as the permit applicant and adjacent property owners. Others may be entitled to notice by publication through a local newspaper or by a posted notice. The rule of thumb is, the more directly an individual will be affected by the Commission's actions, the more likely individual mailed notice is required. Notice recipients should include those affected by designation or alteration, that is, the owner of the subject property and adjacent property owners. Notification may also be sent to interested neighborhood groups, such as the local historical society, preservation organization, and AIA chapter, and other governmental offices such as the building permit office, planning office, and building inspectors. Specific requirements may be contained in the preservation ordinance. Notice informs affected parties of their opportunity to be heard and gives them time to prepare for and anticipate the hearing. The applicant should know what the commission expects him or her to present as part of the hearing. Notice of the hearing must include the hearing date, time and place, and an agenda. Commissions may also choose to include a copy of the application, the criteria for historic designation, or the standards by which the permit application will be judged, and applicable rules of procedure. The applicant should also be informed about what documentation must be formally presented to the Commission for it to make its decision and when this must be submitted. Common sense dictates the choice of the location for the meeting in order to accommodate the needs of both the Commission and the public. There should be adequate meeting space for the Commission to sit together separate from the applicant and the public, and the space must be ADA accessible. As the administrative details prior to the meeting are being handled, the Commission needs to confirm that there will be a quorum in attendance. Consider whether you may have a possible conflict of interest, which would be a cause for recusal. Recuse yourself if there is a conflict of interest or even an appearance of one due to personal, financial, or professional interest in the subject of the hearing. There may also be specific state or local rules governing disclosure. Read all application documents, the meeting agenda, and the staff report if available. All of this preparation will not only allow you to make a more supportable decision, but will also improve the flow of the hearing. The conduct of the meeting itself is governed by the Commission's structured rules of procedure. By carefully following the Commission's rules of procedure throughout the hearing, public confidence is built when it is time to reach a decision. The chairman is responsible to open and close the meeting, maintain order, keep discussion focused, and direct testimony and cross-examination. Following a call to order by the chairman, briefly describe the hearing procedure that will be followed and how the decision-making process works. Remember that the hearing allows the facts of the case to be presented in a manner that will assist the Commission in making a fair, legal, and complete decision. At each hearing, the applicant is introduced and a summary of the case is provided. This includes all relevant photos, drawings, and plans. This is generally followed by testimony in support of the application and then testimony of other interested parties and persons. These may include preservation organizations, historical societies, affected neighbors, and members of the public at large. The qualifications of expert witnesses should be clarified at the hearing. Though people have the right to be heard, reasonable time limits can be enforced, as long as they are applied fairly to all parties. Stick to the issues. For example, when an applicant claims economic hardship, the Commission must distinguish the economic hardship argument from appropriateness of the specific proposal. The two issues are different and must be treated so procedurally. Decisions on political or economic concerns rather than on the standards in the ordinance could be overturned. As a member of the Commission, you assume the responsibility to reach an objective and impartial decision, but the hearing also gives the public an opportunity to observe your actions, which are an important factor in securing their confidence in your decisions. Always maintain a professional appearance. Be attentive and properly attired. Treat everyone politely and with respect. Give every speaker your attention. Ask questions of applicants. Ask questions of expert witnesses. Keep an open mind when asking for advice. Likewise, there are several actions to avoid so as to not diminish the effectiveness of the commission. Any negative actions by any member of the commission would not only damage the public's perception of it, but may also establish grounds for legal challenge of the final decision. Do not use words of personal opinion and avoid even the appearance of bias. Do not prejudge decisions in your public statements. Do not discuss applications outside of a meeting. Do not testify for applicant or present an application. Avoid ex parte contacts, such as a private briefing between a commission member and the applicant. Site visits should be conducted as open meetings. Do not delay decision-making unnecessarily. Aside from making the commission seem obstructive, by law this may invalidate a commission decision. For example, in Maryland, the time limit for a decision on a request is 45 days from receipt of the completed application by the commission. On the other hand, the commission should be responsive to requests by the applicant to postpone or continue a hearing for good cause. If necessary, the record may be kept open for written testimony, but set a firm closing date, keeping in mind the time limit within which a decision must be made. After hearing all the testimony and reviewing all of the facts, it is time to finally make a decision. In Maryland, there are 4 decisions that could be made: denial, acceptance as submitted, acceptance with modifications, stating whether or not the specifics of the modifications must be approved, or continuance to a later meeting, if enough time remains before a decision must be made, or if the property owner agrees to the extension. Similar decisions may be required in other states. Commissioners may use their own checklist as a tool for preparing a decision motion based on the following: review criteria outlined in the local ordinance, design guidelines, and the significance of the resource. After a motion clearly reflecting established criteria, design guidelines, and the resource significance has been made, a vote is taken of the entire commission. Some commissions choose to do this by a roll call. Regardless of the method, be sure to note any abstentions in the record. Do not vote if you are unfamiliar with the record or if you haven't heard or reviewed everything in the record. Do not consider information that is not part of the record. Articulating the commission's decision is as important as the decision itself. The commission's findings should be in writing and based only on the evidence in the record as applied to the criteria and standards in the ordinance. It is important to consider both the credibility and competency of the evidence. In weighing the evidence, the commission should explain why it has followed, rejected, or discounted expert opinion. Remember, the burden of proof is on the applicant. A decision has been made, but the work is not done. A formal notification letter needs to be promptly sent to the property owner. The letter should summarize the commission's findings of fact and decision based on these findings. It is also important to ensure that the record is complete. The record provides the basis and support for the decision made by the commission. Courts will not accept new testimony and evidence in reviewing a land use decision. After the hearing is adjourned, the minutes are prepared and reviewed for accuracy and thoroughness, making sure they include all of the findings of fact. Amend as necessary and then approve them at the next meeting. These minutes should be kept readily accessible for at least 3 years. They will also give the Commission an institutional memory and consistency over long periods of time. The record should include the application along with all information submitted in support of the application, the staff report and recommendations, and evidence that the notice was provided, such as a certificate of notice. The audio or video recording of the proceedings should also be in the record. Transcripts can be made as necessary. The record should also include the hearing minutes and any other information properly submitted, such as expert opinion and evidence provided in support of or in opposition to the application, and letters from interested parties and the public at large. Remember, all documents received should be date stamped. The record needs to be maintained in an accessible place in case a challenge or similar case arises in the future. Many states have enacted public information acts requiring state and local governments to make the record available to the public for inspection and copying. This completes the Commission's application review cycle. By adhering to the tenets of due process, providing advance notice of the hearing to all interested parties, following the Commission's structured rules of procedure during the hearing, making a decision based on criteria and standards in the ordinance and on the Commission's design guidelines, providing formal notification to the applicant in writing within the appropriate time period, and maintaining the record in an accessible place, the Commission has fulfilled its legal duty to impart a fair and rational decision to property owners. Although you can't please all of the people all of the time, you can show the citizens you serve that Commission decisions meet all the tests of legality and fairness. Now the process is ready to continue with the next set of applications. A daunting responsibility. But the application of defensible decision-making will keep our past secure for the future.
Now I guess we'll move on to item 12. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Your second.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.